Here are some quick spoiler-free tips on how to make the most of your first visit to a Punchdrunk production, be it Sleep No More in New York City or Shanghai or the Burnt City in London. I've been going to these plays a lot and I always wonder what is the best experience, and here are some tips that I hope really help improve your experience. I've split the video into two parts. The essential tips over here, these will help everyone. This is just basic knowledge that everyone will have a better time if you know about. And the non-essential tips over here, this will remove a bit of the magic from the play. It'll help you predict where the best scenes are. So if you're someone who wants to control the experience a bit and make sure that you see the best things, then this will be for you. But if you like spontaneity and you want to just go in completely not searching for something, then don't watch that second part. You'll still have a lot of fun doing the first bit. It's just for kind of control freaks like me who want to try find the best parts of the show. For background, I've seen The Drowned Man twice. I worked front of house for that very briefly, and I've seen Sleep No More twice, and I've got tickets to the previews for the Burnt City for the first weekend run of the show, and I'm going to let you know how that is in a video soon. My last video, I looked at all the source text for the Burnt City to try and anticipate what's going to happen. I haven't read any of the news articles which have some spoilers in ever since. You're welcome to do that if you like. I don't actually want to see the spoilers in the news articles. I just want to really look at the source text because I love reading. This is a book channel, by the way, if you hadn't noticed. So I love how this play is going to work on those source texts. So if you like reading and plays and stuff, you can subscribe. But if you're here for the Punchdrunk stuff, I got a few Punchdrunk videos which I'll be linking in this video. Okay, so essential tips. Number one, how long is the show? The show is about 3 hours long. So if it's an evening performance starting around 7, the show will end at 10 and the bar will start closing up at 10:30 and everyone will need to be out at 11. So you'll be leaving about 10 to 11 p.m. at the latest. This will help you plan your travel home. But now that you know this, I advise you to turn off your phone and put away your watch for the entire duration of the show. You want to be lost in this experience. You don't want to be remembering that you exist in the real world. So don't look at your clock. It's only important to know this so that you know when to leave, or for some non-essential tips later on if you want to try time where you're going to be in the show. Second, wear some warm, light, comfy clothing. I know they tell you this, but you might not take it seriously, but seriously do. Like, I wear running shoes, no matter how ugly, the comfiest ones, and wear baggy trousers you don't mind getting dirty because the set is dusty, it might be sandy or muddy, and you're going to be climbing things or crawling over things. And it's going to be in the dark, so no one's going to see what you're wearing. Nobody really cares what you're wearing. Wear a cardigan, because don't wear just a t-shirt. You need more than a t-shirt on these sets. They're not insulated, and at night, no matter what time of year, it's cold. Third, you can ask for directions. So something you might know about the plays, you wear a mask and you're not meant to talk in the play, but there are people that are wearing, often they're wearing black masks. They're staff members that are standing on the set in the corners, in the shadows. You can go and quietly talk to them and ask them where the toilet is or where the bar is. They are told to show you what the direction is. I know because I've been one of these people, and it's something you should definitely do during the show. You should go to the bar and the toilet. It's not always obvious that you can do this, but you definitely should try go to the bar and the toilet during the show, and you should ask the Black Mask members to do so. If you happen to find the toilets when you're there, just use them so that you don't have to come back and find them. You're going to need them once during the 3 hours probably, so if you find the toilet at the bar, when you find them, just stay on them and just relax for a bit. In previous performances, I've come to the bar and I've been too afraid to just relax there. I definitely recommend you just relax and watch some of the shows in the bar or whatever's going on in the bar, because it's actually quite nice there, and it's good to have a reset during your performance. If you're getting just a bit tired and hazy, really good to go reset in the bar for a few minutes, get a glass of water down and go, because you're going to be thirsty. Fourth, eat and rest very well beforehand. Get a really good night's sleep the day before. And because the show really starts at 6:30, and we're going to talk about why you should get in early in the non-essential tips later on, you're going to want to have dinner like before 6, which is super early, so you're going to have an early lunch, and so just plan, because you don't want to be hungry on set, because you can't leave the set in the 3 hours. There's no food served in the bar, One of the worst things that can happen aside from being tired from walking around is also being hungry. Okay, so that's some of the general knowledge. I know it's a bit basic, but I just want to reiterate it because although they say it on the site, you might think, oh, it's not important. It really is. Like, you just want to be comfortable during this thing because it's quite a long time. Here are some of the non-essential tips, which are really the secrets I want to show you, but I know they're not for everyone because it will help you plan and strategize your visit, which might not be the best way to do it. Being totally in the dark could be a good thing too. But if you're one of those people who really like to know what's going on and be in control and make sure you see the best bits of the action, this is for you. First of all, you book the earliest time slots you can. Book the earliest time slot and then show up half an hour earlier. On the doors, they have really a first come first serve basis. So long as your time slot's kind of close to when you arrive, you can get in earlier than you book. And you want to get in earlier because you see up to an hour more of the show. The people who get to get in earlier start seeing the show before you, so they see more material. So by buying a late ticket, you're buying less of a show. And remember, if you're not someone who wants to see a really long show, then you can sit in the bar for an extra hour during this show. You're paying for that extra time, so use it. More value for your money. Unless you're on a date with someone who has a very low attention span, there's very little reason to not want to go in as early as you can. If you're one of the first people in and there's a bar, buy a drink straight away because that will give you just enough time to finish it before you get let through. There's a bit of lag between when they let the first few people in and before the show actually starts. So if you get a drink straight away and drink it quickly, you can get in. And I think that's a good way to start because being a tiny bit tipsy entering these performances, it makes it a little bit cooler, to be honest. The second non-essential tip is the layout of the show. So based on past shows I've seen, generally the biggest scenes will happen on the top floor and the bottom floor. The medium ground scenes will happen on the medium floor, the middle floor even. And then the other floors in between those are where the small intimate scenes happen. If you're the first in on the first time slot, I recommend going to the very top or the very bottom floor because they tend to start with big group acts where all the characters will be, and so all the characters will be probably on those floors, and that's where you can then choose who to follow. Third, it's quite a good idea to try follow the main plot early in the show because more people enter the show as time goes on because they book those late tickets and then show up quite late. So you'll find there's less of an audience at the beginning, and that's quite nice because you can kind of focus, you can get a good spot and you can focus on what's happening. You're more likely to get one-on-ones if they're part of your performance, and it's just more enjoyable because you're not running around all the other people. But later in the show and the very last kind of minutes of the show, you'll find basically everyone is following the same storyline, so it's quite hard then to have as much fun. So I'd advise, if you get in, try follow the main characters early, and then later in the show just wander and do your own thing, and you'll probably have more fun. Fourth, don't get attached to a character, and this is really hard because this is what I normally do. Don't try follow a character hoping that you're going to get the one-on-one experience with them or complete their whole story arc, like you're going to see everything of their loop. It's really hard to follow characters, and often they run away and they disappear on purpose due to the way the play is set up. The actor or actress needs to go off and change costume, or like it's meant to be difficult to see that whole character's arc by just following them. Like it's intentionally very difficult just to follow one person. Like I think the producers don't want you to do that, and I think it's a good idea not to. Although when you're watching, it's hard not to, because you do start following a character and you start liking and understanding what they're doing, and then you have to go somewhere else. So that's what I'd advise. Just try stay open, try kind of play it casual, as it were, but yeah, just try to do that, because I think you'll be less likely to get caught trying to chase something and then frustrated because you can't see the thing that you wanted to see, or you can't understand what you're doing really. At that point, it's best just to go to the bar for a bit and just chill out. Fifth, this is probably the most important thing. Wander alone and just do your own thing. Try not to just figure out the story so much. And I know a lot of the points I've made so far will help you do that thing, like try figure it out, but just see it as an opportunity that you can do it for a bit if you want. But I think the best moments I've had in this play is where I'm just reading the set. I'm reading like posters they've put up in someone's room, and I'm trying to imagine what it would be like to live in this world that I'm currently in. Like really try imagine that you're like in this place, like you're a person here. And it's just such a big important experience. Like it's so much more, I think, than some of the actual set pieces in the show. Like the actual acting and the story is kind of second to the idea that you've become part of this world and you're wandering it and observing it. And so really just go by yourself. If anything, one of the best things to do is just to go where no one else is. If you see everyone run up that way, go the other way and do that for a while, and you'll see you just have quite a nice experience doing that. And it's something I'm going to spend a good time doing during the Burnt City. I'm just going to be wandering around. If there's any science stuff, I'm going to be reading all of the science stuff, because I have a PhD in neuroscience. I'm very sciencey, so I want to see how that works. Or if there are any like weapons and things, or if there's any like religious stuff. Also, like finding secret passages is the most fun thing in like the whole of the production. Like finding the secret passage or the secret trapdoor is the coolest. Like that's the most fun, and like that's done best when you're just by yourself. So yeah, really just do that. Just explore by yourself. It's one of the best things you can do. 6th, so this might be a bit too much of a reveal. This is like the most revealing of the non-essential tips, so fair warning. But the show repeats itself, and I'm going to tell you about that now. More exactly, the show is about an hour long, and it repeats itself 2.5 to 3.5 hours, 2.5 to 3.5 times, depending on when you enter. So that's quite important, because it means that if you miss something early in the show, you have a chance of maybe seeing it again if you show up in an hour. It's only slightly important because some things don't repeat perfectly, so don't count on actually doing it. And also, it's very hard to tell time. Also, I think it's conditional on whether there's an audience member or how the actor's feeling about whether they want to do certain scenes. So not everything perfectly repeats, but just know that the play repeats 3 times, so don't just follow the same person for 3 hours, because you're just going to see the same thing happen again and again and again. Another thing to mention here is that the cast alternates. There's normally not just one person playing each character, so if you ever see the show again, the people will look different. So it's important to try and understand the roles that people are playing, because if you want to carry on working out a storyline when you see the show again, you might not recognize the character because they've got like a different hairstyle, they look completely different. So that's something to keep in mind if you want to watch the show again ever, which is not important to you now if it's your first time, but will be important to you if you're trying to figure it out over the long haul. Another thing to say about the reset is that there's normally like a loud sound or signal which shows everyone that the reset's happened, but as an audience member it's actually kind of hard to spot that. Side point, if you ever hear like drum and bass music, you should run towards it. I won't say any more, but if you ever hear like upbeat dance music, you should run towards that scene. You need to see that scene. That's all I'm going to say. 7th, this is the final point. If you're going with someone and you want to stay with them for the whole show, I recommend not staying at the very front or the very back of whatever way you enter the show is. Like for example, sometimes you go in an elevator, you go in like a lift thing, and when the door opens, just don't be right at the front or right at the back, because you might end up getting separated. That's all I'm going to say. Another thing is, after the final scene happens and the show ends, run to the bar and sit down, get a seat, because those tables will go very quickly and you'll want to stay to watch the after party show for the last few minutes. That's really important. Like there's not enough seats, so grab one as soon as you can. And that's all I have to say. It's not too much information. I'm probably going to just be telling my friends this in like 24 hours, but I thought I'd just make a video instead that everyone can watch and listen to, because when you do go in the first time, they don't tell you stuff, which is great. But also, if you end up going in a suit and like smart shoes and a t-shirt, and you haven't had dinner and you're thirsty, you're gonna have a bad time. Like you gotta really plan for this one, because it's a good 3-hour thing and it's very exciting and very demanding. So just make sure you're prepared and have fun. Let me know if you have any other tips or any other things that you want to say, and yeah, enjoy the show.